Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something that probably frustrates a lot of us drivers.
Yeah.
Potholes in England.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it's not just annoying, is it? As of April 2025, it's genuinely costing people money and, well, making journeys a real pain.
Absolutely. It feels like a minor thing sometimes, just another bump in the road. But when you zoom out, it's actually a pretty significant national issue.
Exactly. And that's why we're digging into it. We've looked at pieces from REC Drive, Highways Industry, and a load of recent news clips to get the full picture.
Yeah, trying to piece it all together.
Our mission today is basically to lay out the state of England's pothole problem. How bad is it? What's the government doing? What are the challenges? And crucially, what are the potential fixes? We'll try and keep it clear, give you the essentials.
Sounds good. Where should we start? The scale of it.
Yeah, let's do that. Just how widespread is this?
Well, it's quite something. The REC data suggests drivers in England and Wales hit, on average, about 6 potholes for every single mile they drive.
6 per mile.
Yeah,
Seriously, that's
yeah.
a lot.
It really is. Think about your commute, your regular trips. It adds up incredibly fast. It just shows how, unavoidable it is for most drivers.
And it's hitting people's wallets hard too, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. The average repair cost when you damage your car on a pothole, around £600, according to the RAC news reports.
600 pounds, it's a sudden expense most people could do without.
Exactly. And multiply that across the country. Well, in 2024 alone, estimates suggest something like 480,000 vehicle breakdowns were directly caused by potholes.
Nearly 500,000 breakdowns, just from road conditions.
Yep. It's a huge number. It really underlines the impact this is having, not just on individuals, but on, well, keeping the country moving.
And I read somewhere there's a massive backlog of repairs needed overall.
That's right. The figure that's often quoted is nearly £17 billion needed for the repair backlog on local roads.
17 billion.
Yeah, it's a staggering amount. And it points to, years of just reacting rather than properly maintaining things, which is a point the highways industry makes.
Right.
Plus, the Asphalt Industry Alliance estimates that about 1 in every 6 miles of local roads is basically getting close to the end of its useful life, structurally.
So we're not just patching current holes. We're facing a bigger problem down the line if things don't change.
Precisely. It's a bit of a looming crisis, really.
Okay, so the problem's huge. Been building for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk solutions, or at least attempts at them. The government's put money on the table, hasn't it?
Yes, they have. Starting around mid-April 2025, there's a $1.6 billion fund specifically for highway maintenance.
1.6 billion. What's the goal with that?
The stated aim is to fix over 7 million potholes a year. And there's even talk of potentially adding another 500 million if it's needed.
Okay, that sounds like a decent chunk of change.
Yeah.
But I gather it's not just free money for councils. There are strings attached.
That's a really key part of it, yes. To get their full share, local authorities now have to publish annual progress reports.
Progress reports, what do they need to show?
Well, the first ones are due by June 30th, 2025. They need to detail how they've spent the money, exactly how many potholes they filled, what percentage of their roads are actually in good condition,
Right.
and also how they're trying to minimize disruption to drivers while they do the work.
So it's about transparency and proving they're making a difference. What happens if they don't meet these standards?
There's a penalty. Councils that don't meet the reporting requirements could lose 25% of that extra funding, which adds up to $125 million across the board.
Ah, okay. So there's a definite financial incentive to, well, shape up and show results.
Exactly. It's designed to push for demonstrable improvements.
Is it just about filling the holes we see now, or is there more to it?
There's a bit more, yes. They also have to show they're spending more on preventative maintenance.
Preventative, like what?
Things like surface dressing, basically sealing the road surface to stop water getting in and forming cracks and potholes in the first place. It's about stopping the problem before it starts.
That makes sense. Stop them forming, rather than just patching them up constantly.
Precisely. And they also need to have plans for dealing with harsher winters, which we know cause a lot of damage. Plus, another interesting bit, by the end of October, they need to show they're involving local communities in deciding which roads get priority.
Involving communities, that's quite new, isn't it?
Yeah.
Suggests they want people to feel like they have a say.
It seems that way, yeah. Trying to make the process a bit more connected to local needs.
And we shouldn't forget the bigger roads, the motorways and main A roads. There's money for those too.
Yes, separate from the local road fund, there's another £4.8 billion allocated for motorways and major A roads for 2025-2026. So it acknowledges the whole network needs attention.
Okay, so that's the government's plan. Big money, reporting requirements, focus on prevention too. But inevitably, not everyone agrees it's the right approach or enough.
No, absolutely not. You get different takes on it. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, frames it as fixing broken roads and saving the public money by holding councils accountable.
So the message is, here's the money, now deliver.
Pretty much. And the Transport Secretary, Heidi Alexander, echoed that, talking about reversing neglect and getting results for taxpayers, making sure the money isn't wasted.
Right, but then you have the opposition.
Exactly. The Shadow Transport Secretary, Gareth Bacon, he's been quite critical. He called the funding a pothole sticking plaster.
Sticking plaster,
It's
meaning
a temporary patch-up, not dealing with a real underlying problem. He accused the government of chasing headlines rather than offering genuine long-term solutions.
it's a classic political argument, really. Is it enough? Is it the right kind of spending?
Yes. And then you have groups like the REC. What's their view?
Well, Simon Williams, their policy head, he seems to support linking the money to the progress reports. He thinks that accountability is important, but he also stresses, that it's not just about filling holes. That preventative stuff, the surface dressing, is just as vital for the long run.
So, sort of cautiously optimistic about the accountability, but wanting more focus on prevention too.
Yeah, that seems to be the gist. They see the immediate problem drivers face, but also the need for a more sustainable approach.
Okay. So it feels like even with this big cash injection, there are still questions about whether it gets to the root cause, which brings us to the industry perspective, I suppose, the people actually doing the work.
Exactly. What do they make of it all?
Well, the highways industry article we looked at suggests that, yes, the extra money is welcome, obviously, but many in the sector see it as, well, perhaps a short-term fix.
Right, because the problem's been building for so long.
Precisely. Years of underinvestment, roads just getting older. This funding helps, but it doesn't undo all that history overnight.
And didn't the Asphalt Industry Alliance have a figure for how much it would really cost to fix things properly?
They did. Their estimate was over $12 billion, and maybe more than a decade of sustained work just to get roads in England and Wales up to scratch.
12 billion. Compared to the 1.6 billion pledge, that's a huge gap.
It really puts it in perspective, doesn't it? And the industry is also critical of relying too much on those quick, temporary patchwork repairs.
The ones that seem to fail after the first frost or heavy rain.
Exactly those. They often don't last, so you end up in this cycle of fixing the same spot over and over again. It's inefficient and frustrating for everyone.
So, if more money and current patching methods aren't the full answer, what are the long-term ideas coming from the industry? This is where it gets quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, this is where the focus shifts to being smarter, perhaps. A big push is for more data-driven decisions.
Data-driven, how so?
Using things like detailed road inspection data, maybe AI scanning technologies, better asset management software. Basically, getting a really accurate picture of which roads need work most urgently and what kind of work they need.
So targeting the resources much more effectively based on evidence.
Exactly. Rather than just reacting, you proactively manage the network based on its actual condition.
Makes sense. What about the actual stuff they use to fix the roads? Any progress there?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of innovation happening with materials. Things like polymer-modified asphalts, they're tougher, last longer.
Okay.
Using recycled plastics in the mix, which helps with sustainability. And the really exciting stuff, maybe further down the line, is research into self-healing road materials.
Self-healing roads, like they fix themselves.
Sort of. The technology aims to allow minor cracks and damage to repair themselves, extending the life of the road surface significantly. It's still developing, but it's the kind of innovation the industry thinks we need.
Wow, that really would be a game changer. Any other big ideas?
Yeah, another key one is better collaboration between the public sector, the councils, and private companies.
Public-private partnership.
Essentially, yes. The idea is that bringing in specialist contractors with the right expertise and equipment can lead to higher quality, more efficient repairs. The highways industry article even lists several companies actively working on innovative solutions.
Right, like Meon and Starmac, Keeley Bros, Velocity, those kinds of names.
Exactly. It shows the capability is there in the private sector. It's about harnessing it effectively.
So the overall message from the industry seems to be, funding is good, essential even, but we need a bigger shift towards longer-lasting repairs, using new tech and materials, and working together better. Less patching, more long-term strategy.
That sums it up really well. It's about investing in the future resilience of the network, not just constantly playing catch-up with the current problems.
Okay, well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground, or maybe bumpy road, in this deep dive.
We have indeed.
We've seen the sheer scale of the pothole problem, the significant cost to drivers. We've looked at the government's plan, that big funding boost, but with the accountability strings attached.
The reporting requirements.
Then the different political takes on whether it's enough or just a sticking plaster. And finally, that crucial industry perspective calling for, well, a smarter, long-term approach using innovation.
It paints a pretty full picture of a really complex challenge.
Absolutely. So maybe the final thought to leave with our listeners today is this. Considering everything we've discussed, the numbers, the money, the politics, the technology, what do you think is the most critical thing needed to actually fix England's pothole pandemic? Is it just piling in more cash? Is it making sure councils are truly held accountable? Is it waiting for some kind of revolutionary new road tech? Or is it something more fundamental, like completely rethinking how we value and maintain our roads in the first place?
It's definitely not a simple answer, is it?
No easy fix.
Yeah.
But it's something worth thinking about, especially next time you're navigating those bumps. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.